So today we're gonna do some beef barbacoa. The recipe's from Rick Bayless, one of our favorite chefs. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put together the sauce or the marinade for the barbacoa. We're gonna switch it up a little bit. Rick Bayless usually does it in a slow cooker, but we're gonna do it on the smoker. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna throw in some guajillo chilies and ancho chilies. So he recommends to seed and stem them and rip them into large pieces. So if you can see over here, these are dried anchos and guajillos from our garden last year. So that's pretty cool that we can use them. We use them quite a bit. So guajillo here and ancho here. So basically I just ripped them open, dumped all the seeds out, ripped the stems off, and that's what we have here.
And an ancho is a poblano that's ripened to red and then dried?
Yes. And then the guajillo is a guajillo. So the next thing we're gonna do is throw in 4 cloves of garlic, 2 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of vinegar.
Just white vinegar?
Yep, white vinegar. And then we have some spices here. We have black pepper, salt, Mexican oregano, and then a can of fire roasted tomatoes, and 1 chili, chipotle chili and adobo. So,
okay, great. And so the garlic is also from our garden?
Yes.
And it's still fresh, it hasn't been fully dried yet. And then we are going to hopefully have our own fire roasted diced tomatoes for going into the fall this year.
So this is something I forgot about. This is Mexican canela. It's Mexican cinnamon. So a little piece of that to throw in there as well.
And that has a little bit different flavor than regular cinnamon.
Yes, and usually regular cinnamon is a lot less crumbly like this. This just really breaks apart. The other the other cinnamon sticks, they're a lot harder. So we're gonna throw everything inside the blender. And we're gonna go ahead and blend it up. So Rick recommends in the marinade, after you blend everything, to also put in some beer. But because Erica doesn't like beer, we're gonna skip it on this one.
Sorry, honey. I did tell you to put it in, but it's not always my favorite.
Okay, vinegar.
And salt. Oh, do the tomatoes?
Tomatoes.
How much of the adobo?
It says 1 chipotle. So we're gonna go ahead and try to put 1 in there. And I'll probably put some of the adobo in there as well.
Yeah, that can be really spicy, right? But it's good for making a bunch of different things, sauces and barbecue sauce, I think you like to use it for.
And this is our spices. And then we're gonna go ahead and put the top on.
How thin do you want it?
I am not sure. I haven't made this recipe before, so we're gonna
Do some testing?
go with what we got here and see what.
All right, so we want to have it coating the meat, though, is kind of the thought process here.
So,
Oh, it's spoon coating, that's good.
yeah. Let's give it a taste. pretty good. Maybe a little bit more salt.
Okay. Are you going to salt and pepper the meat separately, or are you just going to use the marinade?
I am just going to do the marinade. So this is a chuck roast that we had in our freezer.
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and cover it.
So we're going to tin foil it on top?
No, so we're gonna go ahead and leave it open.
Okay.
And the smoker is gonna smoke the meat while it's kind of braising in there.
Okay.
And then as the smoker's going, it's gonna go ahead and thicken up the sauce here.
Wow, look at that.
And then we should have a nice sauce at the end as well.
That is very strong smelling.
Yes.
It smells really good.
Mm-hmm. So we're just gonna throw this on the smoker and let it go. All right, so this is my Primo ceramic grill. I had it for a long time now. Got it as a gift from Erica's parents.
Was it just your gift?
It was our gift. It's a wedding gift.
It's a wedding gift. It might not just be yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said before, it's ceramic. It's held up really well over the years. Erica's dad built me this stand for it, which is really neat. It's got granite in it, and it's made out of cedar, so it lasts a long time. This grill works great. My only complaint about it is it's small. So it cooks really, really well, but I wish it was a little bit bigger sometimes.
They do make a bigger one, but this was not a cheap grill.
No, this is a very expensive grill. And the XL is much more expensive. So we're gonna throw the barbacoa on. We're shooting for about 250 degrees. And we're gonna let it go until we get an internal temperature on the meat of around 200, basically for pulled beef. So.
And this is a ceramic style similar to the green egg.
Yep.
And there's deflector plates in the bottom here.
Yep. So the one thing about this grill is you want to get your stuff on it really fast and close the top. Otherwise, the heat will spike really high and you'll never be able to get it back down because it's so thick.
And because of the airflow.
Yep. So we'll check on it in a couple hours.
So that's the airflow adjustment for temperature adjustment right there. We don't have a fan on this. We haven't needed one. So we're sitting at 338, 194 temps Fahrenheit. We also highly recommend doing an InstaRead thermometer as well. So this is just for general rough ideas, but then we'll actually use this one to finalize the temperature. Jace did add a little bit more water and he did actually cover it. So it is very close to being done at this point. Just a few more degrees. And we're gonna do a salsa, some masa tortillas, and probably some grilled onions to go with this. So we'll go over how to do all of that in just a little bit. These smell amazing instantly. Just picked from the garden. Turn this down a little bit. We're not fully caramelizing. This is something we learned from watching some of Rick Bayless's videos for tacos. Sometimes you'll see that they start pushing up, kind of like the volcano you might see at like a Japanese steakhouse. So you just press them down. It kind of just caramelizes just the bottoms, We're gonna flip them, and then you kind of slice them down the center, and they make nice little onion strings to add to your taco. All right, so the piece of beef is now back inside, and it was on for roughly about 5-6 hours.
6 hours, yep.
And we're going for just over 200 in temperature.
Yep. So at this point, it should just come right apart. So we cooked it to 208.
Oh, that smells really good.
In my experience, pulled beef has to go to a slightly higher temperature than pulled pork. Not really sure why, but
Make it more tender.
seems like it's not quite as tender if you don't go up as high. But as you can see, this stuff is just completely falling apart.
Yeah, you want to talk about the gloves you're wearing?
These are just
The cotton gloves underneath the...
yeah. So I learned this trick from Malcolm Reed, how to barbecue right. I always would have trouble, you know, they make all these tools to pull pork with and all this, but it never quite worked that well. The easiest way to do it's with your hands, and so he has these glove liners that he sells, and they work great. And you just buy a set of extra large gloves, and they just give you just enough protection where you can do it. And
The temperature doesn't matter. This has been resting for what, about an hour since we took it off?
Yep. So had a little learning experience again. Haven't used the Primo for a while. The Primo sometimes can be difficult to keep the temp consistent. Not really sure why. It's supposed to be really consistent temperature, but for some reason this one that I have,
I was thinking maybe it's the wind up here on the hills. Sometimes gets gusty and sometimes it's not.
yeah, so the temp got a lot higher than what I wanted it to be, but it still worked out really well, it looks like.
Yep. And you covered this in tinfoil for the last, what, hour?
Yep.
So this is the original recipe we modified from Rick Bayless. I'll post a link below.
Unintentionally.
In the description. No, well, we modified it because normally it's a crock pot. And we wanted to convert it to smoker. But Jace also added roasted tomatoes, which are fire roasted tomatoes, which typically is not in this one. So it's almost like a cross between birria and barbacoa.
Looks good.
It looks really good. And Jace just made masa tortillas, so we have those, and I've got onions going, and then we're gonna make a salsa that we will show you really quickly, a salsa verde, also another Rick Bayless recipe. So we just put the tomatillos, it's about 1 pound of tomatillos, and the one of the onions from the garden, and 2 jalapenos, and 2 cloves of garlic into the broiler on the oven. This was an inside part. And we're going to blend all of these up and make a salsa verde. We add salt to taste after it's blended. Mm-hmm. And do we add any olive oil or anything?
Nope. Right. See.
So adding a couple pinches of salt. That's probably enough, right? And then a little bit of pepper. And then we can serve the tacos with wedges of lime. So here is our beef barbacoa, our salsa verde with tomatillos, jalapenos, garlic, and onions. The masa tortillas that Jace made, some wedges of lime, some of the onions from our garden, and we like to add queso fresco. Sometimes we will actually add ranch, a homemade ranch that we do. Not tonight, but we also, the recipe calls for crema, right? So I'm gonna show you guys how to plate, because I saw this on one of Rick Bayless's videos, and I realized that I had been plating tacos wrong. So we've been doing this for a few years now. So you actually wanna lay the masa tortillas out across each other, and then you're gonna put the meat all the way down the center, and then the onions all the way down the center, and then the salsa verde all the way down the center, and the fresca, and that will actually make a really good plate, because then as you come, you pick up your first taco, if there's any extras, it will fall to the next one. So the other problem I have is that I usually end up stuffing these with too much. Just trying not to be making monsters here. Some of the onions. Grab some of the queso. I like to sprinkle this on, so I cut it in small little slices and then pinch it in my hands. Queso is pretty salty, so I don't tend to add any more salt to the tacos when you use queso. Next up is the salsa verde. You can see the consistency is pretty good here. A little chunky. We left the seeds and everything in. We were watching a food show a couple years ago, and they talked about, you know, when you see someone eat a taco, if they know how to eat the taco right, how many tacos they must eat a year. And it's because you want the taco to, when you pinch it and you hold it up, you want to hold it up straight and turn your head versus turn the taco, and then everything doesn't fall out of it. So, oh, lime. Then we add the final piece, which is the lime. We're big lime fans here, so. And our tacos are ready to eat.